All right, it is 7 o'clock. It is August 8th. It's 2023. My name is Joey Ragona. You are whoever you are. Thank you for watching the show, by the way. Thank you for being here. My friend Scott is always here. Thank you for being here, Scott. We were already having an epic discussion. I mean, we could just talk forever. As soon as the camera goes on, or actually, as soon as we connect, we just start talking anyway, and we're already into a majorly deep conversation. So, man, this is, yeah, man, like, first of all, let's just get going on how you doing.
Good. Hi, Joey. And yes, it is Tuesday, August 8th. It's 7 o'clock. And like every Tuesday night for the past years and hundred some odd episodes, here we are. Marketing made easy. What an
Marketing made
honor.
easy, man.
It's
So,
just, to talk about this stuff. And like you said, to show up and just be so excited. It's a lesson in what we talk about. We talk about one thing Tuesday night at 7 o'clock. We talk about the same thing, marketing, but the million things that come into it. And we don't come in here and talk about something else. Let's talk about something else tonight. We talk about marketing in all forms of it. And we have an amazing tribe that shares with us that we get to play off of and play with, and an amazing tribe. And I think
yep.
you mentioned something about curating the tribe.
Yes. So we're curating the club today. That's what it's all about. Is how do we bring in people? Because I have, as you know, this is it's the number one pillar. I have three main pillars that I talk about. That is the foundation of the heart-centered marketing system. It's a foundation of how do you sell. It encompasses everything. Like how do you build awesome tribes, people and communities and all that. So the number one pillar for me is curate the club. That's what it is. How do we bring in the right people into your club, into your circle? And it was funny because I get this question asked a lot. The last one I just got asked was on the Kajabi webinar that I do every month. And I always teach them the three pillars, and there's always a question about what does that actually mean? So I thought, why don't we talk more about it, and maybe some ideas and strategies that I use, and maybe you want to share some of yours on how we curate the club and what does it actually mean. And another part of it too was I was talking to another person, a very high level person that I'm going to be speaking at their event coming up, and they were like flabbergasted on this idea of the curating thing.
Yep.
I'm not trying to stand on a soapbox or anything, but they were just like, the way that you do it, I've never heard anybody do it like this before.
Joey,
At the level you're doing it.
you're not on a soapbox, okay? You're talking about the proper way to curate the club. And you and I, 4 years ago, started on this journey, and you made it happen. And it was a process. And that's the important piece of it. And yeah, we could talk about it. Why? Because, when we started the show, it was you and me showing up and one or two others, and the same thing in the club. And I've always loved and admired the fact that you've always curated it from the get-go. This wasn't a new thing. It was like, let's go to Seth Godin. You have to qualify to get in order
Right,
for me
right,
to tell you where to go.
right.
And I've always loved what you said. It's about the safety of the community. It's about the safety of the club. And that's the importance of it, because we exist in other groups where it's just sometimes, I don't know what to call it. You go. I don't even.
Yeah,
Where
there's different little ways of building your list or selling your product and all these things. And hey, Lorna, good to see you here. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for being here on the broadcast. And like I said, I was talking about like what I do and how I do it, just to get to know each other, type of thing, with the person. And again, like I was gratefully thrown back that I'm like, wow, like this it feels good for my ego, first of all, because like, wow, like I'm being, you're doing something that I've never seen a lot of people do at all at this level, and I think that we're really going to learn from something from it, which was like, this is great. Like, at least I can, because I love giving value and perspectives and differences. That's why I love doing Kajabi every month, because there's so many breakthroughs. People are like, oh my God. And they, like the in the comments,
Yeah.
like, it's like, this is so like uplifting. It's so a new perspective. I love what I'm hearing, that kind of thing. Yeah, it strokes my ego a little bit, but it's more about like, I'm changing people's perspective on how to actually do some of this online marketing. And so the curating of the club is like the biggest part of it. And everything from my knowledge and experience and what my belief is, that everything else is easy once you do the curation from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Everything. Would you agree?
Agree. Totally and completely, because you're curating the club with your dream clients in training who turn into your dream client. And you don't let in people that shouldn't be in. And those that come in that shouldn't be in end up being removed or leaving because it's just not for them. Some people have the intentions, they feel they're heart centered, then they get in. Because again, we're in other groups where it's like, really? You would let somebody say that to somebody else in a group? That's not safe. That's not heart centered. That's not caring and supportive. And on that, one of the members of the tribe, the club, Kay, the other day shared in the group this really vulnerable post.
Yeah.
And I want to give her a lot of credit for that. And it's another teaching point, because when she first started with Atlas and the journey with the whole heart-centered marketing and strategic business academy, she was kind of like, I remember empathetic women was kind of her thing. And it was like, well, what does that really mean? And she's been narrowing it down and niching it down and really identifying. And when you go to that depth and you truly identify a dream client and you start to put out to attract them, when you make that transition, it's scary, it's exciting, it's frustrating. It goes back to the 4 C's we talked about. You make a commitment to only serve dream clients. Okay, you have to learn and research and messaging and really come up with that main thing that says, yeah, I'm talking to you. And then it's the courage, because from there it's like, okay, I made this huge shift and I finally defined it, but it didn't happen. The money didn't come flowing in, and thousands of people, which is unfortunately what the promises are out there of how do we fight against that? And that goes back to, you curate the best people. Go.
Yeah, like, and for anybody listening now, you live or on the replay, let us know if you have any question about what does curate the club mean, or what is it, anything like that. Let us know in the chat, because I'd like to answer some of those questions, because I'm just going to give you my inputs, or and I guess from yourself, Scott, if you're curating yourself, like, how do you do it, or what are you looking for? Because the shift for me was just looking at, first of all, like you said, at the beginning, which was, how do I make the later process easier for me if the right people are already in the tribe and they're communicating and all those, and I don't know who those are going to turn into dream clients later on, but they're just the right people and they're helping each other and they can feel safe. I think that the safety of the container is like the biggest thing, and that's what the club is all about. And it's kind of like this secret club. And I've had clubs, and when I look back at my businesses, they've all been like that. They've all been like that. In the very first business I had was actually called Exclusive Remix Club, and it was only for specific DJs. And even when I was playing at the clubs as a DJ, it was still curated. It was still like, these are the people that I want in the club, because this is the kind of music I'm going to play to get these people in and all that kind of stuff. So I look back at my life and I'm like, I've been doing this for forever, just not calling it curating before. And I like the fact of being an exclusive. Go ahead.
You should. So the first question that I have for you on curating the club in our list of questions, Joey, is, so what are the qualifications that you have for somebody to join the Heart-Centered Marketing Club? If we're going to talk about specifics, is there like a certain thing that you put people through? Is there a process, an assessment, a test, or how do you decide who to allow in as you're curating the club?
If you're looking at the Facebook group specifically, because that's the question of the Heart-Centered Marketing Club there on the Facebook group, that is still a gut feel. It's still more of a conversation where I'm having with somebody. You can request to go in, and there's always questions that I ask at the beginning of that process. And when I get one word answers, those are big red flags for me. Even if that person is an amazing human being, I'm looking for people that want to engage and have conversations. And so those are, and it's not that I don't let people in like that, but those are red flags for me. I'm looking for people that want to have a conversation. It's the same as the message navigator, right? Like one of the
Right.
things that's on there that taken from Dean Jackson's 5 stars is, are they willing to engage? And to me, even if it's a survey, it's a question or like one word answers, it's like, I don't have the time. I don't have the time to answer this type of thing. And that's just a red flag for me. So I don't forget things. Like I know who does what and what. And so even if I don't remember exactly what somebody said, I know their characteristic already. They may change over time, but that's what I look for. I look for people that are saying the right things, because I'm always having conversations with people on an individual basis, usually. Now, when it comes to something where there's a whole bunch of people that are from the Kajabi thing that want to move over, you'll see a whole flood of them come in. That's
Yeah.
because they've kind of already been curated by the where they are, like where they're coming from. Not only are they from Kajabi, which is amazing, but they're also on my workshop. They've stayed all the way to the end in order to get an invite. But so that means they've listened to everything and they agree with basically what I'm talking about, right? So the curation is happening on its own. So I don't really have to have
So
a
Joey,
one-on-one conversation there.
let me stop you there because that's an important point in the specifics and the mechanics of curating. You're talking about your benefit breadcrumbs, your 4% multipliers, the activities that you're doing. It's
Yeah.
not just the questionnaire or the, okay, do you qualify? I'll let you in. You're doing all of that in what you teach. And especially the message navigator, that's another piece of curating because you get to, on your terms, their terms, ask questions. And for anyone who doesn't know the message navigator, it's one of the tools, frameworks, whatever you call it, that Joey teaches. That's brilliant because it takes all the pressure out of everything.
Yeah.
And you get to, over time, communicate with someone. I was talking to someone and somebody asked a question. And in the message navigator philosophy, you would teach, well, okay, if they ask this, answer this, period, in a sentence. They were like a whole sales and marketing thing, content marketing, when somebody's like, what time is it? Well, time first started way back
Yeah.
when Newton and this and I was like, hold on, just want to know what time it is. It's 7:13. So you're out there interacting in your benefit breadcrumbs, and benefit breadcrumbs are all the little pieces that you do in your 4% multiplier, like the show and that, where people get to see and say, huh, I like that. Do I move to the next step? We talked about it one of the shows in the last month or two, the stages at which they're at. And so the curation happens in a lot of different ways. It's constantly not marketing and selling, but making it easy for them. Like the email you sent out, I loved the last email. And at the bottom of it, it was, hey, if you're interested in doing this, message whatever it was, whatever the word was, and I'll let you have the thingy. That's curation because they're like, okay, yeah, I'm interested in that thing because I saw this thing that continued this thing. And you're not marketing to them, you're serving them. Pillar number 2, not selling them as you're curating the club. And it's every single activity that you want to get them to say, yeah, I kind of like what you're saying. Again, you do the Kajabi every month, and Friday you did it, and people are in there and they're engaged and they're interested and they stay. And at the end, you're like, hey, if you're interested and you want more stuff like that in the community and support and Art Center, and then they join. So they take the next step, and that's how you're curating it. It's not this, let me go run Facebook ads and see if I can get 10,000. Yeah. I have 20,000 people in my Facebook group. Do you really? How many do you really have?
Right.
And, then one of the other things you do that you taught me was you purge the group from time to time.
Yeah.
So I've talked about a few things there. I'll take some water. You could talk now.
There's a lot of great points.
you permission to talk, but
I you know I think it's so important. Love to hear from the tribe as well, like what your thoughts are about it, because I even hear like it's counterintuitive to a lot of people of why you would hold things back, and it might in the context of marketing, it's kind of like scarcity. It's gonna you can't have this, like we could look at it from that perspective or psychology of it, and that's kind of true. Like if people do want what they can't have, and so exclusive clubs, and that's why I did the remix club and all those other things. And but that other level of like what you said at the beginning, where is like, no, I'm trying to protect the tribe, but I'm also trying to protect me too, and I want to make sure that I'm, you know, for me, character and reputation is huge. Like, I want to protect it as much as possible, and I want people to come in and actually get the thing that I'm making a promise of. And I'm speaking specifically for Atlas, but because I'm because I'm investing my time with them, and it's always one-on-one stuff, and I'm guiding them all the way through without just like, well, sorry, 12 weeks and it's up. That person has to be someone that I want to be with. It's not just you gave me money, that's fantastic. That's the last thing that I want from you. The other thing is I want all these other characteristics. Are you this type of person? Are you open to me coaching you? Are you going to listen to me? Not that everything I say is 100% right, but at least listen to me. Let's have a conversation. Are you going to so I'm looking for that. Is this someone who's going to be someone that I cannot help because we're just not aligned and there's just too much friction between us? Not saying that either of us are bad people. It's just that curation piece doesn't work with my energies, my superpowers, and all those things. So I have to be able to be aligned with somebody from day one. So that's why when I see somebody right away and they're doing something that is red flaggish, and I know right away, so that person will probably go through a harder time to get into. Let's just use Atlas as an example.
right.
Okay,
Yeah.
like they'll have a much harder time than somebody else will, because again, they could just by based on their interactions and what they say and what they do and all those things, I'm always looking at it and saying, okay, well, if it's this difficult over here, I'll use difficult in a polite way, right? How is it going to be when they're inside the program? Because again, I'm not selling something and set it and forget it. Like there's another level. So to me, curation is like the most important thing. And that's what I wasn't doing before. It was, yeah, I can kind of handle Scott. It kind of gets on my nerves, but he's going to give me money, so I'll just deal with it. And that was not good for me, at least.
No. Well, it's not good for anybody, Joey. And that's really important because, unfortunately, what's out there in mass is build a huge tribe. I'm not even going to use the word tribe. Build a huge Facebook group. Get as many people as you can in there. And as soon as they get in and you get their email address, put them in a sequence.
Yeah.
And we've been in so many of those. And it's like, I've really gotten disturbed by somebody I respected in, a really well respected, brilliant person in the space. And always I followed the emails for years because I love what he does, what he teaches, the content. But then all of a sudden, the AI thing came, and it was nonstop. You got to get in on the AI thing, and it was selling them on the opportunity. And I've come to call BSOs not bright shiny objects anymore. They're BS opportunities. Okay, you heard it here. Because that's what they are. It's, you can make money and you can go out and sell people on how to use AI. And it's like, but that's not you. And they're trying to make you believe, and the scarcity and the crap. And I can't believe my friend decided to do this webinar again to share with you. And I'm like, really? You think we're that stupid? I was going to use not a bad word, but anyway, it's just disillusioning and disheartening because now I have to decide, you've got crap emails now of continuing the scarcity, and you already did the scarcity already when you said it was never going to happen again. And I've just lost. Why do? Yeah, it bothers me, and I think that's the challenge too, Joey. Is it's like build a Facebook group any way you can. I don't care who it is, and as soon as they get in, put them into a funnel and sell them in your thing and your discovery call and your that. When do different, do the opposite, like Joey, and curate them everywhere first. Whether it's getting into your
Yeah.
tribe, your club, your membership, your group, your coaching thing, you're free. Let's say you did a free coaching thing, a hot seat, and you got people in. You wouldn't want to be like wasting your time on someone that you're like, God, how did this person get here? I let Scott in here. He's wasting my time. He's pissing me off. He's not going to listen anyway. He's just going to come in and hear himself talk and say, well, I learned how to do it this way. Well, go do it your way.
Yeah.
Seth, go stand in another line. And I've taken it further. Go stand in the homeless line.
It's true.
Anyway.
You know, all the exclusive clubs are like that. You have to be proved to them why you should be part of that club. And then anything that you do, like it's kind of like a one strike rule, and then you're out. And it's kind of funny because I do like bonus sessions once a month as well.
Bonus
right?
huddle.
Yeah, bonus huddle.
Yeah.
And so I'm doing one now for this week coming up, and it's all part of the curation process as well. So I sent all the emails out, and I can't. There's always a few of them that will come back with answers to the questions, and to some degree of saying, I don't know if I'm the right for this fit. I know that it has to be blah blah blah, a certain thing. They already know like what I am doing, and on a good thing. So they want to be part of it. So that's right away. Like I'm taking the time to answer these questions, but I know what I may or may not be a fit for that, and I'm okay with it, that kind of thing. So they're already respecting the fact that this may not be for you, and that's okay. There might be something else for you, and maybe you are a fit for this. But if they are a fit for that, then what does that do on their level of getting into that session or that masterclass or that huddle, right? What do you think that does to their psyche? Like they've been accepted now.
Yeah, and Joey, and also the chain of beliefs comes in there is where they are, and you don't ever try and change their beliefs or instill beliefs because you can't. You just say, okay, if you believe this here, then this and this and this, and in the journey of it. And you show up everywhere, wherever it is your benefit breadcrumbs, 4% multiplier. And, you know, in the old days, we'd go on a platform and we'd speak to large groups of people, whether it be 20 or 500. And at the end of it, you'd say, hey, you just hung out with me for an hour or 2 or 4. I got some cool stuff if you're interested. Well, those that were interested either went to the back of the room or they filled out the form. And those that weren't left. That was it. That's how it happened. And you're like, okay, the ones that filled out the form to go to the next step liked what they heard. Not a sales pitch. It was like, hey, I got this thing. If you're interested, go. And that's kind of the same thing now with technology is we have so many opportunities. I don't have to get on an airplane and go somewhere to talk to people. We go talk to people. We put out content. We put out emails. We put out value. And those that are interested go, yeah, click, I'm interested, and I'll reply with thingy. And then it puts them into that sequence. I'm not calling it a funnel. That provides them more value. And you say, hey, okay, you've gone to the next step and the next step. And that's the curation process that you've done. That's brilliant. Even the questions in my group that I started were the same ones from yours because it was brilliant. And then, like you said, when they get to that point, you look at them and you look at the answers. And it was like, you know, what are the biggest challenges you're facing in XYZ? And they're like, waking up or whatever. Something, be like, really? Seriously? It's like, do you agree to the group rules? Do you agree to respect others? That's not a qualification to get in.
Right.
So how do you qualify people? What kind of questions do you like to use when you do get, let's just take the Heart-Centered Marketing Club for now. Like, how do you, when you get to that point, somebody's found you through an article, an email, a podcast, Kajabi, and they're like, okay, You don't just automatically let people in. They have
No.
to go a little bit. So what is that like for anyone that's like, how do I do that? Because a lot of people don't do it right.
Uh, well, the one of the first questions is asking them if they're heart centered, and uh, if they and what their market is. So it's funny because the direct question, many people just skip over that question,
Right.
and to me, I'm just okay. It just and maybe they're not. I don't know why they skip over that question, but to me, that's another one for me that is positioned in a way that I want to know if they're reading the thing, uh, or just it just gives me some insight on their answers. The next one is the challenge question, like what are you challenged with? And
Right.
so I want to have some kind of idea of, are they, again, right for the try, because if they're in there that just has to do with whatever it is, making money, or like they don't have a challenge. Like I've actually had some people who are not in the group, by the way, that I don't have a challenge. Are you kidding me? Like everybody has a challenge. You
Yeah.
could be Richard Branson and you have a challenge.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
already that tells me that you don't want to hear anything that anybody else says.
Right.
It's like you think that, like, so I don't want somebody like that. I used to be that guy. I used to be the guy that tell me something I don't know. You know what I mean? I'll do everything. Don't worry about it. I got it. I don't have any problems. Don't tell me something I don't already know. I used to be. I know what it's like to be that guy. I don't want those guys.
Yeah. Joey, so the specific here is, let's go to that first question. So if you're building your club and you want to curate, and it's what's the first question should be the biggest thing about your dream client. Your dream client has to be heart centered above all. And if they're not, then go stand in the free line. We're not even going to the next step. And if they ignore it, that's a red flag. And then what are your challenges? Again, whatever group or club or thing you're building, it's who do you ultimately want? Dream client, hang out, love, can't wait. I can't wait to get on calls on 7 o'clock Tuesdays with you because you're my dream friend, my dream buddy, my dream colleague.
Thank you.
Because I
Same to you.
love what we do and how we play. And it's like, all right, it's Tuesday. I only got 2.5 hours. What am I going to do until then? Now, after learning, I only want to engage with people. Like I can't wait till 3 o'clock with X, Y, with so and so,
Exactly.
because it's like they thrive, we grow, we do together, and it's not like okay, they paid me crap. I got to go do this thing with this person,
Yeah.
and that's so important in future Joey, future Scott, future you. Is what's your commitment to future you? Who are you going to bring to future you to hang out with future you? What group of people, of amazing dream clients that you're all going to have this amazing party with future self and say, hey, look at all these cool people I brought. You wouldn't show up to future self and go, yeah, there's a couple of jerks here, but they had a bunch of money, so I let them in. And they're like,
Right.
but
Exactly.
it's ruining the whole vibe, and people don't really want to talk now, and they don't want to open up and be vulnerable and share because Scott's in there, and
Right.
Scott's this overbearing. He comments on everything and he knows everything. Well, but he paid me a lot of money. Yeah, but why don't you stay home? Forget it. Let's cancel the party, future Scott. So those are like really important pieces and elements. And what's the third question, Joey? You had, are you heart centered? What's your challenge? I think the third one is the email for a gift. Is that
Yeah, I
correct?
think
Or,
it's asking for the email for the gift, and that's
so,
it's an optional thing.
right, but what do you do with that? That's another important piece here in the curation. So I give you my email, and you immediately put me in a cart closing deadline funnel sequence,
Right.
right?
Yeah, you're gonna get slammed with all kinds of hard offers and everything else, and invited to a webinar, and yeah, no, nothing like
Yeah,
that happens.
exactly. No, I
It,
know.
it
I'm
you know
just
it's
being
it's funny because everybody thinks like it's becoming more apparent that and I talk about this in Atlas, and now I'm sharing it as well in the Kajabi thing I shared this week, and it was more like just assume that everybody thinks you're like everybody else,
Yeah.
and then just do
Oh, yeah.
different. That's it. Like that's the whole thing, right? And it was funny because I see people saying things like, "Well, here comes the pitch," or I'm being set up here," and that kind of stuff. I'm like, and
Yeah.
I love those mindsets
Oh,
because
yeah.
I know they're
Yeah.
going to get blown away, right?
Yeah.
I know they're going to
Oh,
get
yeah.
blown away because it doesn't happen, you know. And
Yeah.
and
Don't
that's
do
what
it.
that's what makes you stand out when you do something so different. But you're also, and then for the other part of this is that we've talked about this before, but since we're on this curating part of it, is that yeah, you've given me your email list, or you've opted in, or I've paid an Facebook ad, and you get into my whatever, however you got on my list. The first thing I'm doing is trying to get you off of my list. The
Yeah.
emails that go out to you, the welcome ones, are like, are you sure you should be here? Like, so
Right.
this is the kind of list that you've got on. This is the kind of dude that I am. By the way, I can't promise you A, B, C, D, E, F, and it's all of this stuff, this damaging admission stuff that says,
Yeah.
be sure that you want to be here. By all means, please opt out. And that goes on for like 3 emails.
Oh, yeah. And
And
yeah, Joey,
people
and
think it's crazy.
but it's the same thing as you're going to pay $3,500. You're going to go through Atlas for 90 days, and you're probably not going to make money at the end of it.
Yeah.
Who in their right mind out there has got a marketing message like that?
Yeah.
Give me money. You probably won't make any. Good luck. Not that that's what you do. But here's the other piece of your curation club process, Joey, is those emails. That's another piece of, you're just coming into the group to lurk, or you're just coming in to wait till the point where you can spam it, which does not happen. And what, I don't know, 4 years now, I don't think I've ever seen that ever.
Yeah.
And it's everywhere else, not once. Okay, once in a blue moon, somebody might post like, could you look at my landing page without asking? But it's never like, hey, you should go get this thingy. In your email sequence, and it is a sequence, and you
Yeah.
use Keep and you use all the technology because you have to use the technology to
Yeah.
help them. And you're like, I got this cool thing for you, a gift, and go get it. And then if you like this thing, 15 minutes later, you give them something else. And if they don't respond, you're like, well, you're probably not going to respond then. So how are they going to respond in the beginning? And do they truly want what you're offering? And
Well,
are they? Go on.
there's to that point, like there's one of my automations, like, the lead magnet, or we call it the gift, right? And
Right.
so it's funny because there's only one, I think there's only one, this is the only one sequence that I do this, where I'm 15 minutes later or 10 minutes later, I'm giving them a gift like right away. The other ones, I don't do it that often. It's like maybe the next day or something. But this one I wanted to test. And it's so funny because I'll give them the gift, which this gets, like I said, 80%, 60 to 80% opt in every day. Like it's a really great
Right.
funnel, right? And it works all the time. And then 15 minutes later, I'll just say 15, I can't remember the exact time. It's another gift. It's my personal notes on, like, here's what I took from this book that'll help you get through this area. These are my personal notes. Would you like these? And it's uncanny how many people opt out of that part right there because
Yeah.
they're not the right people. They were only there for the so as soon as that email comes in, it's like they didn't even read it. They're like, "Oh my
Yeah.
god!" And then so now whatever, for whatever reason, maybe it was too soon that the thing came in, or they think I'm gonna sell them something. Like, I don't know what it is, but I haven't really. It just doesn't. It just freaks me out that they're getting a gift, but they're also self-selecting. They're saying, "I'm not right for this list," so I'm out. And so that's what I love about it. That's why I love at the beginning of my welcome sequence is set up that way to say, yeah, you know what, you're too much for me. I don't trust you. I don't like you, or I wanted this other thing and you can't give it to me. So I think I'm going to opt out. That does me a favor. That's why my list is so powerful. It's so engaging, and I don't have a lot of trouble with spams and all these other kind of things. I'm always creating and helping them curate the list themselves by opting out, by me asking them, by saying the absolute truth. Go figure, right? I don't have all these magical things.
So, Joey, I want to go back to what you said, which is self selecting. That
Yeah.
is so key here to curating a club. Is I'm not right for this list. Allowing them, oh my God, what a total opposite. Allowing them to decide that they don't want to be a part of it instead of spending time, effort, energy, resources, emails to try and convince them to be a part of it. What a total shift in thinking is okay, you self select, you decide based on what you set up with the automation so that when they get to you, it's like, yeah, I want this thing and I like this other thing and I like what this guy's doing instead of, uh, I was hoping I'd opt in, I'd get the free thing, and then I'd see what he was selling. And that's unfortunately what they're used to.
Yeah,
So,
well, they don't even want that. That's what I mean is most
oh,
people,
I
at least
know.
in my world, they are highly skeptical. They're like,
Yeah,
and there's they should be. They should be because so many people have promised them the things and they never get to it, or they try to oversell them and using your word, throttle market them and all this stuff.
yeah,
And so they think, well, this
yeah,
guy's going to do the exact same thing. And even though that some of my welcome sequences are automated and all those things, and they're getting emails one day after another, because I even tell them that I go, you're going to get emails, for the next 5 days or
yeah.
whatever. This isn't normal, but this is what's going to happen. They're already thinking, here we go. But then it's like, wait a minute, these emails, if they're reading them, it's saying like, this is kind of different here. This guy's asking me to opt out rather than trying to tell me to go buy something. So that's the first thing. And then they never go into a sales sequence. Never. And they're like,
Okay, Joey, I want to repeat what you said. A lot of good stuff here. And you
okay,
said if they read them, if they read them. Well, if they don't read them, great, get them off the list. You and I, we look at people's lists, and how many you got on the list? 8,000. No, you don't. There's only 3,000. Why? Because look at your open rate. There are only 3,000 people opening your 8,000 emails. You got 5,000 emails that are hurting your reputation.
yeah,
You're wasting
100%.
bandwidth on the internet and all that stuff. And you're potentially, pissing people off. And the ISPs and ESPs and email gods are like, holy crap, they're sending out junk. Instead, they look at your list and go, this guy sends out 496 emails or 820, whatever the number is, and almost huge open rates. But we're not looking at the click throughs and this and that. It's like if you're not reading my emails, I'm taking you off my list. You
Yep.
know that I had a list with a software company that was like less than 400. And when we sent an email, we had 382 opens. The other ones bounce because they do. And that's the important piece also of curation is so that when you do communicate, when you do go say, hey, I'm opening up Atlas again in whenever September. If you're interested, reply X. Well, the people that are on there are like, I've been watching Joey. I've been this. I selected to come in here because I'm interested in this thing and maybe I'm ready now. There's
Exactly right.
no, your
Yep.
sequences are designed actually to get rid of people.
Yeah,
And
it's
that's,
always the way to do that. It's like, and that's why I don't put links in my emails and all that stuff. If there is a link, like maybe I want to link out to a book that I'm talking about or something, then there's only one, and I usually try to put that right at the bottom because I want people to read it. And even if I don't care if they scroll down to the bottom, but at least it's telling me something that they're kind of engaging with the email. And so that's one little thing that I do to try and get engagement out of it. But because if they're it's just at the top, they might click it. But that's what I'm doing. But most of the time, the email or the links are never in the body of the email
right.
because I
You
want that
don't
to be just about them, engaging in them. So
So anybody that's watching, and by the way, if you're watching live, hashtag live. If you're watching on the replay, hashtag replay. And Joey, if you would put the link, the Heart
way
Centered
ahead of you.
Marketing Club, I'm sure you were way ahead of me when I went down there. So what you do I'm going to go back to the safety piece, Joey.
Yeah.
That's like really, really important in curating anything. Is again, who are you bringing in to protect everybody else? You brought all your cool friends and hanging out. you wouldn't bring Scott in, who's going to just disrupt the whole thing. It wouldn't make sense. And that's just really important.
It has happened before. Like we all make mistakes, and I'm getting better at bringing
Yeah.
people in. But this is what another thing I wanted to talk about too is in this last few months, maybe a little bit longer, but basically the last 3 months or so, I'm always reading books and everything else. And I read The 10X is Better Than 2X by, Benjamin Hardy and Dan Sullivan. I love that book. And, you know, that's not the only time I heard about 10Xing and all these. But 10X is not just about, it's not money. It's not about money. It's a whole other level to it. We won't even get into it. But I saw Ben talk about a piece of it that I can't remember if it was in the book or not. And this was very recent. It was like this week, I think I just saw it. And he said, the 10X, when you're 10Xing, it's kind of like a filter. And most of your life right now will not pass through that filter. 80% of what you do, who you do it with, all that stuff will not pass through the filter. And that shook me. I'm like, wow, that's a completely different paradigm. Because I was already thinking, not in those terms, but I was already thinking by, again, reading and being around these people constantly now, the next iterations of the group of Atlas and all that, who are those people? And how do I protect the ones that are already there? So it was like, okay, I'm going to up level. I'm going to up level the curation of how to get in. And what does it all mean? And then he said that, and I'm like, wow. So now it's not, for me, it's not about, here's money, I want to buy Atlas. I want to get in. It is all about, does this person fit the group, right? Because you want to protect that entire community, because that's where the magic all happens. And then you also want to protect yourself, your future self. So to me, the curation part of it is so important, but it's also easy, because when somebody reaches out now that says, I want to join Atlas or whatever, I don't really have to think about it. Like, we have a conversation and this and that, but I don't really have to think about it, because I've been already in conversation with them, whether it's been direct or not. Like, I'm watching them post and do other kind of things and all that stuff, but it makes my life so much easier.
Well, and Joey, about attracting dream clients, they're like, can I join Atlas? Can I get in? And I wanted to jump back to when hashtag live and replay and the club is anybody that hasn't subscribed to your emails. Subscribe to Joey's emails. Watch what he does. Model it. Look at it. Print them out. Study it. See what he's doing. Because none of them are about any kind of sleazy, cheesy, bro crap stuff.
Thanks, man.
It's about the curation process throughout everything you do. It's all the little things that when they finally get it. And here's the other thing. We talk about Dean Jackson. We talk about Joe Polish and the Genius Network that Joe Polish did. It's like what, 25 grand or something?
Yeah.
That, if you look at it, if you look at where you start and curate, who do you want in that $25,000 or $50,000 mastermind? You want those people you curated a long time ago. You're not going to go out and find different people. It's the same people that you want to hang out with, only there you're like, who am I going to let in to hang out with? You talk about a lot of the people you're fortunate to play with and hang out with. They don't just let anybody come play just because you got money. You buy your way into those things. My buddy Nick, I do Life Purpose on Mondays with. He's all into the car world, and he told me that this guy got the Holy Trinity of vehicles. Now, the Holy Trinity is he got an Aston Martin, a Porsche, and a Ferrari, and he was allowed to buy each of those for like $2-3 million each. Why? Because in each of those three brands, he had already bought 8, 9, 10 B. He's already spent $20 or $30 million to have the privilege of giving them another X number of millions. And why they curated this guy. He was
Yeah.
like, who are we giving this like one of a kind, amazing thing for a few $1 million to? Oh, he deserves it. Why? He self-selected. He came in, and that's. I'm not saying go build a $50,000 mastermind, but why not? But who would you let into that? You wouldn't just let anyone in for the sake of it, because the protective world, when you go into those rooms with that level of knowledge and wisdom, you don't let anybody in. And it starts with, who do you let into the club? Go.
Yeah, and one of the things you talked you just sparked another thought here, because it is about that, like the scarcity piece, I guess, is there if you want to really talk about that part of it. But even in some of the rooms I'm in now, it's the same thing, and you have to be. It's kind of like you have to be initiated. Like if you want to get into it, you have to know somebody to get into it already, which, like, I don't know I guess it starts with founding members or whatever, but that was one of the things that I always wanted to be in those kind of rooms. And then so you respect it more, and you
Oh,
respect
yeah.
the people that are there. And then so what happens as well, at least I see this with Atlas, is that there's not only the community that builds and amazing bonds and friendships I've seen now that have happened within the people that are in there, and forming their own friendships and tribes or whatever, and that's cool. But then, as soon as you bring more people in like that, and the like-minded people, they know that they're part of an exclusive club, and they can immediately identify somebody else that should be in the club with them. Does that make sense?
Well,
So it
that comes.
makes your job. It's a slow process. This is not overnight, but it's so much easier, because all I have to do, and I actually did it today. I asked somebody about Academy. I don't know if you know anybody who would be a great fit, because today's Academy call was epic, like it always is, and there was a lot of great stuff that happens. My buddy Marcos Mendoza, like, shout out to him, like he just crushed it, and everybody was like, "Oh my god!" And I got a response back, and I said, I'm glad you liked this, and it really changed your life, and blah blah blah. And by the way, if you know anybody that is like us and fits this group right away, oh, I know exactly who would be perfect for this. So you're kind of asking for the referral, but you're not saying, do you know anybody like who would love
No.
to come in and give me money for this? No, it's like, do you know somebody like that's like us that would benefit from the exact same thing that you just described, experienced today? And boom, they're like, I know exactly who this is. Or yeah, if I do, I'll let you know, because it's not just you're asking for anybody, right? So the community becomes the marketing vehicle, which is so powerful, because they know who should be in the group with them, and they will do everything to help you bring the person in, because they want that person to experience the same thing. They want to be a hero to that person, and they want them to be a part of it. And they just because they're good humans, at least from my tribe.
Well,
Look, Stephen
Joey,
Lorna says it.
yeah, the Academy call is beyond epic. One of the best calls I've been on this year. Marco stole my heart. Yeah. Joey, going back to one of now my favorite books that I thank you for, like any of them, Marketing a Love Story by Bernadette Jiwa. And in it, she talks about build something that people want to be a part of. But
Yeah,
not only that, they want to bring others to be a part of. And like,
right.
hey, part of this thing called Heart Centered Marketing Club. It's amazing. It's heart centered. You need to come hang out with us in there, because that's what we want at the end of the day. We want to be a part of. We were built, designed to be part of. And that's what, in curating a club, it has to be the end goal is I want to be a part of, but I also want to bring other people to it, because it's an amazing place that
Yes.
we create, not you, not me. Everybody created that because of the container that you created, and you just continue to nurture it and love it and build it and make sure that it's a great, safe place, so that, again, the container's there. As you go out and do what you do and bring people in, you don't have to worry about it once they're in. Instead of, okay, they're in, now what do I do? You let the magic happen on its own. You post, and you've got Lorna posting now, and you do your things,
Do
and,
you
and it's
see
just
any and then I'm asking this to you, Scott, and the entire community now watching. Like, do you see any? What are the challenges that you see in curating it? Like doing it, what I was just talking about, by not letting everybody in. What comes to mind for you, if anything?
well, you know, the fear of not building fast and not having lots of people to market to, which is again what's being taught, rather than if you go out, if you had a party at your house, in a dinner party, you wouldn't invite everybody in the world. You just invite your really close friends that you want to hang out with. And maybe over time, you'd build that a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger. So instead of dinner for 8, maybe eventually you have a barbecue for 50 people. But you wouldn't go rent a stadium out and invite 80,000 people that are all your friends. And
Right,
that's kind of
right,
the same thing here. I think people want the stadium with 80,000 people,
right.
thinking that with 80,000 people, I could market and make money, instead of, let me help serve this number of people and respect their time, pillar 3, until they're ready, because they've gone through an easy, simple stand in line, raise your hand, qualify. Okay, now come on in. Now I'm going to help you even more. So I don't know if
Yeah,
I answered.
that's probably the biggest objection to it is, if there's a small number of people,
Yeah.
how do you make money? How do you scale? All these other things, and I understand the question, and I think it has to, some of it comes back to the person that you are too. At least this is the way I look at it, because even today I was thinking about this and about the whole $1 million thing and the scaling and okay, all this stuff, right? And I look at it, my thoughts, and like, what do I really want? How many? What is the goals? We always look at goals, or what would be awesome, and I like simplicity, and because of the way that I approach what I do in the coaching part of it, that I'm always personally involved every single day of my existence, and even like, 'cause I'm always there. Like, it doesn't matter. So you buy it, and I'm always there. And I'm like, well, how many of these can I? If I had 1,000 people buying Atlas right now, could I carry those conversations? Like,
No,
it would be okay. So if 1,000 people bought Atlas, that would be $3
that's
million
three and a
dollars.
half, $3.5 million.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be $3.5 million. Okay, do I want that? So, and but but then again, would it be the level of Atlas that they would get? And they wouldn't, because it wouldn't be. I wouldn't be able to handle all of those conversations and relationships, and I can't even imagine. Even if they were split up every quarter, 1,000 people over the
Even
quarters,
250 a quarter is still
yeah,
huge.
it's like,
So, Joey,
okay,
I want to jump in here and say I'm not against scaling. I believe in scaling. The challenge is, almost everybody that says I want to scale is not ready to scale. They
right,
haven't even done, I mean, we're not going to go there, but they don't even know who their dream client is. Forget about that. Now, how are you going to scale this thing? Yeah, you have a software product. You want maybe 100,000 users using your software product. But if you're
yeah,
building
yeah,
a coach, you're building a group cohort, you can't scale it until you've gone through 15, 20, 25. It's kind of like evergreens. I would suggest an evergreen after you did it 50 times. After you went 50 times and you figured out exactly how you could help. And again, not in the funnel thing, but it's like, okay, I did my first webinar and now I want to evergreen it. No, because you still need the live component. Again, I'm all in scaling, but when it's time. And it goes to Alex Hermosi $100 million offers thing is, like you said, let's figure out, you do the math. We've done that a lot of calls. If you want to make $100,000, well, you're going to charge let's just say 5,000 to make math easy. Well, you need 20 people.
yeah,
That's,
exactly.
5 quarter. What if you did 10 people and you drop the price to 3? Okay, well, you do that for a few years.
Yeah,
But everyone wants to be like, okay, I did my first one. I had 12 people. Now I want to scale it. And that's the biggest challenge, is not going to happen.
Yeah, another part to the scale, like I agree. Like I don't know what scaling would look like for me because I'm not focused on that yet. I know that it will come
No.
at a certain point and the model will have to change. But at
Yeah.
this point, even if it was for the next 10 years, man, if there was, 100, 150 people or so going through, I'd be completely happy. Like I'm good. I'm totally
Well,
happy with that.
Joey, if something happened today, some crack in the multiverse, and some magic dust came, and 500 people contacted you tomorrow and said, "I got to have Atlas," what would you do? You couldn't. It's not
No, I wouldn't be
possible.
able to do it. Yeah.
And it's like Hormozy again, $100 million offer. That book's sitting right there
Yeah.
lately because I keep playing with it. And he talks about figure out what it takes to deliver a cohort to 10, 15 people at this. Then do it a whole bunch of times. Then figure out, okay, let's one little piece that I can back up from to make it where I could get a few more people. And that's how he talks about it. And it's the
Yeah.
same thing, but still, I've watched you just keep getting more deep and intense in curating and
Yeah.
making Atlas better and better and better and better and better. And so somebody, myself, that took it last summer, that takes it again, is like, wow, this is deeper, this is better. He's really done amazing things with the chain of beliefs and
Yeah.
the dream client connection and DNA, all the things because there's so many dimensions to it, and you keep learning and going deeper with it. You're not on to the next thing.
Yeah, it's just adding, like the foundations are there, the frameworks are there, but it's more. It's like you said, like I'm always learning outside of what the thing is. I'll give you an example of this, which I'm talking about. Is it Tuesday? So yeah, Thursday. So I'm talking about this week. I'm talking about the 4% multiplier. You brought it up a couple times today. So I'm talking about the 4% multiplier because I'm always asked, like, what does it mean? How does it? And yeah, I know they kind of know what it means, and yeah, the 80-20 rule, 64-4, all that kind of stuff. And then, but then I'm always looking outside of the marketing arena. Like, what does this actually mean? And I realized, thanks to James Clear and Atomic Habits, that it's about a habit.
Yeah.
The 4% multiplier is not a tactic. It is a method, it's a framework, it's a strategy, right? But it's more of a habit. And then I was looking at that, and then my brain starts to go. And I'm like, you know what? The best way, I think I put this in the Facebook group, or if I didn't, I will, is that you have to be willing to go through the boring parts of a habit. Like when something becomes so natural to you, a habit, such as, working out or you're training for the Olympics, like you're doing the same thing again and again. And because like, oh my God, like how many times am I going to, right? It becomes this boring thing. You're no longer excited about it. That's the danger of like
Yeah.
you slacking off. And I'm reading that. I'm thinking, oh my God, like that's what the 4% multiplier is, because I get that question all the time. Or is it about Atlas? Like, how many times can I teach the same thing? And I'm trying to explain to people that, first of all, you got to be really passionate about the thing. And there will be times when you'll be bored of it. Yes, but you have to be so empowered by the people that you want to help. First of all, the who's, that you overcome the boredom, because when you show up on the Zoom call, like you just said it an hour ago, you're so excited. It's 3:00. Oh my God. And then boom, the energy goes up. That's what I'm trying to talk about. I do say that a little bit, but I need to focus on that more, because that's what makes this all work,
Yeah,
and
Joey,
go ahead.
when I did my program, and I did 52 cities in 1 year. Like I did 52 cities, and I loved every single one. It was the same presentation, but it was never the same. Why? I always had new people in the audience and interacting with them. So if I was talking about this thing, it was, well, tell me about your business. Okay, let's apply this to your business. Same thing in Atlas. Each time your cohort, you have a whole new group of people. You're honing it. They're different. And you're like, oh, wow, this person took this and did this. Because no one person is going to apply Atlas the same way. It's not possible because every single person has a different business goal that, and then you're like, wow, that was cool.
Yeah.
Hi did this, and it did this, and Kay did this, and Lorna did this, and Ann did this, and each person takes it and runs with it and does their thing, and you're like, wow, he didn't know that.
Yeah, and it comes back to the curation of the right people being in the group that you can have those conversations that allow you to adapt your program to them. You know,
Because you curated the dream client. You
yeah,
brought dream clients in training in who are like, I think they're going to be dream clients. And then they self select. They either make it or they're out. And then they may fall off. Again, a lot of people asked to join the club this week. And they'll come in and you'll greet them and introduce yourselves. And some of them will, and others won't do anything.
mm-hmm.
And they'll hang out. Some will give a heart a like, which is good. At least you're participating, and others won't say a thing, and they'll just be like, why are you here?
Yeah,
And then that comes time with, you know what? They get an email at some point. Um, hey, you sure you really want to still be a part of this thing? Because I noticed you really aren't participating, and I thought you wanted to be a part of and participate. I'm not saying this is your languaging, just the premise of it.
yeah,
And that's how you create. So you just, when you do something, when you say, hey, I'm doing a dream client somersault thingy. I don't know what that is, but I'm doing a new thingy. People are like, yeah, I like what Joey does. I'll check it out.
yeah.
So it's all
I
about
think that I think the more that you know, on the opposite of what everyone else does is they make it easy to get in. And I
yeah,
think that the harder you make things to get in, it's all about self-selection. They self-select because, like you said, whatever you're doing, whether it's in the Facebook group or I'm doing this class this week. Would you like to come? Yes. Okay. Just can you just answer a couple questions for me? And then they
yeah,
don't. Like that's they're self-selecting. They're like
yeah. Then
going,
you,
I don't have the time to even answer these questions. Okay, then that's telling me something. It's that's something somebody I can't help, and maybe the timing's not right for whatever. I don't know. I'm not judging anybody. I'm not putting blame on anything out there, but that's how I self-select because if I opened up the doors to everybody and said, "Sure, why don't, everybody can come into this," you've been on those things. You've been on webinars, and there's hundreds of people, and even people say, "I got 100 people, but I got one sale or I got no sales." Well, were those people really there, or were they on their Facebooks, or were they watching Netflix and have your thing on in the background? Like, were they engaging? Like all these kind of things. Where when I'm doing
yeah,
something, it's a small group. Like when I do the bonus things, the huddles, there's like not even 10 people there. And it's like, you need to be here with us. This is us helping you, right? Let's get engaging in the conversation here. If somebody doesn't want to be involved with that, they're not allowed in. That's okay. This is not the place for you. Because that's what I'm looking for when if and when they buy Atlas later on, right? Like you don't just sit back and do nothing. And
no,
one
and
other point before you interject, before I forget this, is the fact that, when you curate the tribe like this and you bring them into like an Atlas or your program and you do the job right, when that new person comes in, like you said, the people that are already there, they can see themselves in that person. They can see, oh, I remember thinking like Scott. I want to help him. I want to jump into the conversation to help Joey help Scott. Does that make sense?
yeah,
And
makes total sense.
that is powerful, bro. Go ahead.
No, it's good. It is curating, and it's being painstakingly detailed and specific and discerning. Because I've said this on whatever calls, but my son shared with me a comedian. His name is Mark Maron, and he's got a bit where his nephew says, "Hey, Uncle Mark, come check out this punk rock group." And he goes, "You know what? I'm good with the Dead and the Allman Brothers. I'm good. I don't know how much time I got left." And for all of us, and I don't care if you're 22 and watching this, or 52 or 82, how much time do we have to spend on somebody that's not going to float your boat? That's not going to be on the Dream Island, on
Yeah.
the Oasis, hanging out, bringing you joy in what you do and wanting to. Why would you spend any energy in filtering through the muck to find it when you could just say, I'm only going to take the good stuff. That to me is discerning in curating whatever it is we're doing.
Yeah, it depends on the model, but for the models that I'm doing, where
Yeah.
it's live coaching and people that you're working with interactively, it all has to do with that. There are models out there where nobody interacts with anybody. You just
Well,
buy my
but
thing
that's
and you're on your
we're
own.
talking about. We're talking about the live cohort model, curating the
Yeah,
tribe dream clients for that. We're not
yeah,
talking about anything else. And if it's anything else, then you probably should go watch another show
yeah,
because
exactly. This
this is
isn't the place. Yeah,
This is about dream clients. This is about, building a group cohort with a live component that nobody
yeah,
can compete with because it's you and building it and growing it slowly, which helps you with a dream business and a dream life.
100%, 100%.
Pretty simple.
I love it, man. All right, another show. Wow, we're in the middle of August already. Another show in the can. Thank you for being here. That was
Thank you for having
yeah, man. I appreciate you, and
me.
let's
Great.
onward and upward to 200. We're getting close to 200, my friend.
That's insane. It's just absolutely crazy, fun, cool, exciting, fun. 200. Yeah, it's going to be a great thing.
Wow. Thanks again. Thank you for watching, by the way. If you're on the hashtag live, if you are here live, or hashtag replay, if you're watching the replay, let us know. And we will see you next Tuesday for another show. Marketing Made Easy. Take care.